Alright, so boom. Over the course of the past 2 weeks, it appears that we cannot escape Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, the entire Smith family. It's starting to get ridiculous, but it's primarily Jada because everybody else is just getting tied into her bullshit. But one way or another, I've countlessly went out on a limb and stated I couldn't care less about what transpires in celebrity gossip, celebrity marriages, celebrity relationships, whatever the case is, because it has no bearing on my life. However, when I get constant messages or I happen to see this information come across my desk, I feel compelled to have to talk about it. However, I have a little bit of a different take. At the conclusion of everything, I'll tell you why. And initially, what I was going to do was a full 20, 30-minute down breakdown, similar to what I did with the August Alsina entanglement situation 3 years ago. If you never saw the video, I'll have it in the top pinned comment. Also, in one of the iCards over, I think it's my left shoulder on your end. But whatever the case just so happened to be. I'm going to keep it relatively brief, right? And summarize my thoughts in the best possible way that I know how. First and foremost, Jada Pinkett Smith is an absolute hypocrite. She's a liar, manipulator, whatever the case may be. But let me just preference this. Will Smith is a grown adult. So, despite the fact I can have a bit of sympathy for him, these are the consequences for your decisions of not only wedding this woman, but remaining with this woman for the long haul, which I'm pretty sure that he decided to do so because that divorce settlement would be rather hefty. So it's cheaper to keep her, as they say. Nevertheless, right, let's just debunk a couple of things that Jada Pinkett Smith just so happened to say, right? And if you need me to link the sources, I can go ahead and do that. I'm still debating whether or not I want to throw them into the editing because I'm pretty sure a number of people done seen it. So one way or another, feel free to Google if I don't happen to throw the sources up in there. Nevertheless, she stated that her and Will Smith were separated since 2016. I think that's bullshit because anybody who saw the Red Table Talk episode with her and Will when they were conversating about the entanglement, there was a point in which she was talking about her and Will being separated at the time in which this entanglement happened, and Will had said they were separated then. When you say then, that now shows this is past tense. So with that being the case, either you're no longer together or you're still together. There's no separation because you said you were separated then. That would now say that you're together. So you saying, oh, well, we've been separated since 2016, absolute lunacy. You're lying. Furthermore, she said the reasoning why they were separated and never said anything was they didn't figure out a way in which they could come public with the information and feel comfortable with them coming public. Also, I think that's absolute horseshit. Why is that? Because over the course of the past few years, the Red Table Talk has been what? Jada, her mother, her daughter, whatever the case just so happened to be, airing out what many would consider dirty laundry. Moreover, whatever particular kind of traumas they dealt with, where they are emotionally, whatever the case is, they've talked about a bevy of different topics that, for all intents and purposes, now granted, I can't determine what the level of sensitivity and information they felt, inclined to disclose. I can't be the one who delineates what is, considered the highest particular level. But announcing and coming public, talking about what would be considered an affair, or in Jada's terms, an entanglement, that's fair game. But you being separated is not. I call bullshit on that. Furthermore, if you remember in a different episode of the Red Table Talk, where it was Willow, Jada and Will's daughter, and also Jada Pinkett Smith's mother alongside Jada herself, speaking about her wedding day, Jada went out of her way to specify that she didn't actually want to have a wedding. Furthermore, she cried the entire day. The only reason in which they got married was because Jada was pregnant with Jada. So that would now beg the question, did she even want to be with Will? I'll answer that for you. No, she didn't, because she's gone out of her way to disclose that Tupac, the deceased Tupac Shakur, was her soulmate. Now, why is this relevant? I'll tell you even more why it's relevant. Because she also disclosed recently that Tupac proposed to her while Tupac was in prison. Well, that's interesting, because over the course of the past 26 years, Jada Pinkett Smith has gone out of her way to defend that there were no particular kind of romantic relations or emotions as it pertains to a relationship between her and Tupac. It was more along the lines of them being friends. So now, why would you feel the need to go and say he proposed while he was in prison. Moreover, if I'm not mistaken, Tupac was engaged at the time in which he was in prison. Somebody fact check and let it be known in the comment section, but that's neither here nor there. One way or another, that would now call into question everything Jada has disclosed for the past 25 years regarding her relationship with Tupac. You stating that this man was your soulmate. Moreover, you declined the proposal from when he was in prison. So essentially, you friend-zoned Tupac. And I think what we can deduce from all this information is she's living the remainder of her life regretting the fact that she either A, didn't say yes, or B, he passed, and now you'll never know what that experience may have been like. Furthermore, I, conspiracy theorist in myself, this has nothing to do with transpired with Jada Pinkett Smith. I think Tupac may just mess around and still be alive. I think he took up an alias as a Bubakor Barry, as a Ivory Coast goalkeeper. Take a look at the Ivory Coast goalkeeping team. Take a look at the Ivory Coast national team in 2012. Take a look at their goalkeeper. You can't tell me that ain't Tupac, but we ain't talking about that right now. Jada Pinkett Smith also, this is one of the things that makes her a terrible human being, went out of her way to disclose the fact that Tupac was not very comfortable disclosing the fact that he had alopecia. Now, this has nothing to do with her relationship with Will, but where the hell do you get off coming forward and talking about it? If Tupac didn't feel comfortable talking about it, why are you? Tupac's past, his mother's past. Now you think it's free reign to talk about somebody having alopecia? Ma'am, what is the problem with you? She's a textbook narcissist.
Legend has it this is the one bullet that Tupac actually dodged.
One way or another, right? Here's the biggest problem that I have with Jada Pinkett Smith and this entire situation. And this is truly what my take on the whole thing is. You're being had, you're being duped. This is no different than what we saw earlier in the year with Keke Palmer. It's a publicity stunt. You're in a situation in which all of the clicks that are coming in, think about it. When the Red Table Talk had initially dropped with her talking about the entanglement with Will, if I'm not mistaken, that's their highest viewed episode that they had. Moreover, over the course of the past 3 years, the damage that was done to Will Smith's reputation. But for Jada, it's like, oh, well, she's evil. It's done nothing. She's still been able to sit down, have her show. She's still been able to generate clicks. There's countless different blog sites or, social media locations that just so happen to release. Jada has revealed, and people will flock to said comment section. So, with all of that being the case, everybody's doing duped. And there's one last thing in which she disclosed that I think I gotta call bullshit on. She said Chris Rock had hit on her, moreover, invited her out for a date, or I should say, attempted to set up a date with her amid rumors of a possible divorce. Years in the past, Jada shot him down, saying, no, those are just rumors, and then ultimately at that particular point, he was apologetic and backed off with it. I think that's horseshit. Why? Because why would you wait until now to now go and disclose this? Moreover, remember when the whole Oscars situation happened and Will slapped, Chris Rock? Given Jada's information, they would have been separated at that time. Jada specified she was shocked that Will referenced her as his wife. I call horseshit there, right? Because in countless different appearances in which they had together since 2020 up until said Oscars, whenever they were together, they reference each other as husband and wife. It's well documented. So why does she continue to lie? But furthermore, I would highly doubt this happened to be the case, because when they did a Red Table Talk sit down and it was Jada talking about how everybody has to come together and heal. Everybody has to, take a look in the mirror and reflect as to why, we're having this particular kind of experience. She didn't feel comfortable disclosing it then, but here's the big kicker. You feel comfortable disclosing this when you're releasing a tell-all book of your entire life. Furthermore, the entire Smith family is together unified when she received the samples of the book.
So proud of you. Thank you guys for being so supportive.
Absolutely.
You're being led astray. You're being hoodwinked, bamboozled by this human Jinzo straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Let me tell you something right now, right? The fact that all of them are all smiles, they're all congregated around each other. They've never even once acknowledged what is transpiring with social media. Moreover, Jada's going on an entire press run talking about this situation. saying everything under the sun that can generate all kinds of clicks. Moreover, if you take a look at the comment section of the countless different podcasts that she's been on, the countless different interviews that she's been on, you see a bevy of different individuals excited about the release of the book because it's going to give them the juicy details that they've been desperately looking forward to. This is all a money grab. You're being had, okay? I personally believe they're happily married. And let's just say they're separated. They're still operating as if they're together. I say all of this to say, perhaps Will Smith is in on it because he's leveraging his celebrity and probably gave Jada clearance to drag this man's name through the mud because at the end of the day, given that they are indeed a union, this benefits him with the sales of the book, despite his reputation being absolutely dragged through the mud. Perhaps he no longer even cares because Will doesn't even seem to be operating with a microcosm of any form of ego outside of when he slapped Chris Rock up the face. I can't wait to hear what Chris has to say regarding the situation. But nevertheless, my take on the entire situation, this is very similar to what we saw earlier in the year with Keke Palmer. You're in a situation in which you think you're seeing something that is unfolding before your eyes, and now you have a bunch of think pieces that have now come out, only to find out on the back end, the parties who you thought had conflict and issue are together. So I say all that to say, with Jada, despite the fact that I do believe that she's a liar, a narcissist, a manipulator. Now, do I have high level of sympathy for Will? I have a small microcosm of sympathy for Will because you're a grown adult. This is simply the consequences of your emotional actions. But nevertheless, I believe all of those things about Jada Pinkett Smith. However, I refuse to be caught in this genjutsu because it just seems like she's generating all of this attention in an effort to sell her book. All I can tell you is, hey, if you're interested in that, feel free to go buy her book. If you couldn't care less, don't buy her book, don't give it any attention. But me personally, let's just say all of this is legitimate. And if any of us were Will, you might just be sending crates upon crates of orange juice to Jada Pinkett Smith's front door to let her know what time it is. Perhaps you may turn on a Buffalo Bills game and stream it all day. Maybe Bills games from the 70s. One way or another, if I was Will Smith, I would have immediately told Jada Pinkett Smith, pack up your bags. I'll pay whatever particular kind of settlement. One time they got to get paid. And then you move forward. But overall, release yourself from the genjutsu of Jada Pinkett Smith. This is no different than what we've seen throughout all of the years. It's a money grab. I would have loved to sit over here and do a whole breakdown of all this other stuff. What's the purpose? Because at the end of the day, if she wasn't selling something, I don't think she'd be having this conversation. The initial situation with the entanglement and everything else, it was to drive clicks to her Red Table Talk show on Facebook that was generating millions upon millions of dollars with the millions upon tens of millions upon hundreds of millions of views that they generated. Now, she's selling a book that's gonna generate all kinds of thousands upon tens of thousands upon hundreds of thousands, possible millions of dollars. She's selling you something. She's a salesman. A snake oil saleswoman, all right? One way or another, don't fall from the genjutsu of Jinzo. That's all I gotta say about that. But again, if I was Will, I'd have called in the cavalry. Chris!
Here comes the United States champion, Chris Benoit!
Look at Benoit! Justice!
Cut that bitch off!
Wait a minute, it's fall season and you know what that means. It's officially sweater weather and I have restocked the hoodies on chiselthedonnashop.com just for you. It took forever, 18 months, but the inventory is finally here. And I introduced 3 new hoodies for the Chisel the Donna's definition, the Hold My Nuggets logo, and also from the east to the west, and of course, the Cardarius Tony special, What Happened to His Hands, are fully restocked alongside the most popular item, Put Your Motherfucking Head Back Down. So head over to chiselthedonnashop.com and grab your hoodie. Let the world know your affiliation. You mean to tell me you watched the entire video but you haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button and become a member on Patreon or on YouTube to get access to the Discord. We're waiting for you in the Shadow Realm.
Just do it! Make your dreams come true! Please! Please!
What are you waiting for, huh?
Oh my god.